And this Hangout on Air is live. Good evening, NosillaCastaways. It's a very, very quiet little audience tonight. Let's see. We've got Kevin and Chris and Dan and Sybil and Sandy bringing up the alphabet there this week. How are you guys doing? Happy Father's Day to the fathers amongst us. Steve, did you having a good Father's Day?
I'm having an excellent Father's Day, Allison. Thanks part to you and Lindsay and Kyle and Nolan.
Mostly the kids, right? They made you breakfast?
That was a great breakfast. Very good.
All right, let me do a little test recording.
Oh, Ghibli's just popped in.
Ghibli's is here. Oh, Lindsay, he just said that he had a great Father's Day thanks to you and Kyle and Nolan. So that's good. We going to watch Deadpool tonight, Steve?
We should. That was one of my Father's Day gifts. A Deadpool Blu-ray disc.
And open a can of Black Olives with your new can opener?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not Sunday. It's not Monday.
Needed there.
All right. Let's see. All right. We are definitely live on Alpha Geek Radio. I was going to do a test record here. Here we go. Hi, this is Alice. Nope, it is not recording. That is because I changed my recording settings in Audio Hijack after I did my first test recording. It says pass through. I'm going to have to quit Audio Hijack and bring it right back. You will lose audio for just a moment, but don't panic. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And we should be back. Can you hear me, Steve?
I can.
All right. And they can probably hear you. Let's see if this works. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. There we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Hi.
That's it.
All right. Where did you hear it, Steve?
Both places, live and recorded.
All right. How exciting for everybody. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me get a big sip of water here. All right. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, June 19th, 2016, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody. And this is show number 580. Well, I wanted to start off by giving you a heads up that I will not be doing a live show on the 4th of July weekend because of all the festivities for Independence Day in the United States. The podcast, of course, will still come out on time. In fact, it's going to be early. I'm thinking probably on Friday if all the timing works out. But let's go ahead and kick into the show. All right. Oh, thanks, Lindsay. Steve was talking about the, what is it called, Steve? Vocal fry.
Vocal fry, right. It's when you talk like this, and you kind of let it trail off, and it gets creaky at the end. It's a trend that's increasing with many podcasters and people on air.
Specifically more female, right?
That's the report I heard on NPR. I don't know how much study has been put into that.
Did we decide this morning at breakfast that I actually must have invented vocal fry because I say, and stay subscribed. That's
exactly.
Vocal, right?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Let's keep going. That was just our little opening salvo.
Well, at least you don't do the upspeak.
I don't?
Nothing. Well, questions are okay. It's good to have upspeak on a question because that's what lets you know it's a question. But when you do it on a statement, it's like you're saying, I'm making this statement, but I'd like...
I want some positive reinforcement.
Yeah, can you please reinforce me?
Forces everybody to go, uh-huh, yeah. All right, let's keep going. I come from a long line of extremely clumsy people. The pod mom broke her middle toe so many times that they took the bone. Steve, why are you talking?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mute. Let me mute here.
No, you sure didn't. Okay, let me start that again. Here we go. I come from a long line of extremely clumsy people. The pod mom broke her middle toe so many times they took the bones out of it. And my dad broke his nose so many times they took the cartilage out of his nose. I did definitely inherit this genetic trait, and I can remember from a very young child hearing my mother say, "You're always hurting yourself." It seemed to be a mystery to her where I got it. Well, before I leave on my 3-mile afternoon walks with Tesla, Steve usually says, "Walk carefully." I make fun of him for worrying so much. It's not like I'm bike riding, but maybe he remembers the time I was bike riding and ducked under some hanging vines and managed to flip over the handlebars onto my head and bashed up a bunch of other extremities. Or maybe he remembers the time I was jogging in the neighborhood and I managed to break my hand. Think about what had to happen for that to work out. Or maybe he remembers when I broke my foot playing volleyball. Perhaps it was the time I broke my nose doing hurdles that gave him pause. You noticing any kind of a trend here going on? Well, anyway, Wednesday this week, I went for my walk with Tesla, and Steve did not say, "Walk carefully." At this point, you should probably cue some ominous music. I was about a mile from home when I managed to trip on the tiny little lip that's left after they make a wheelchair ramp up onto the sidewalk. I'm pretty sure I rolled my left shoulder forward, so I hit my upper arm first, based on how sore my arm is, but that still left enough room for my neck to snap and hit my head on the concrete. Well, before I get to the tech part of the story, let me assure you that I am fine. So anyway, back to the tech part. And when I go on my walk, Steve likes to catch up on a good science fiction novel. He likes to read lying down. Now, it's completely inexplicable, but somehow this reading often turns into a nap. I suspect it might be part of his plan because he puts the landline phone in another room before he lies down. He also puts his iPhone in Do Not Disturb, and he places it in the other room. So anyway, here I am with blood dripping down my face. A nice woman named Chica, in front of whose house I had just crashed, was administering first aid to me. I had the presence of mind to call home, but of course the landline phone is in the other room, so it doesn't wake Steve up. I then called his iPhone, and to my surprise and relief, he answered my call for help and rushed to my aid. Now remember, I said his iPhone was in Do Not Disturb mode. How did he know I was calling? Well, Apple's Contacts app for iPhone allows you to add people to your favorites list. Then in the Do Not Disturb settings on the iPhone, you can choose to allow it to let calls through from your favorites. But his iPhone was outside the room and muted as well. So how did he get my call? One piece of tech was still connected to him, and that was his Apple Watch. Since his iPhone was in Do Not Disturb, that also puts his Apple Watch in Do Not Disturb as well, but the watch still gave him a gentle tap on the wrist because I'm his favorite. He woke up, tapped the watch to answer the call right there without having to run and get his phone, and he heard my plea for help. If you want to get calls from your loved ones in an emergency, go to each person's contact, tap on Edit, and then hit the Add to Favorites button. Then open up Settings, select Do Not Disturb, and then select Allow Calls From. In this window, you can set it to everyone, no one, or favorites. You'll also notice that you can select groups instead of favorites. Now, because favorites doubles as speed dial on the iPhone, I have my local pizza joint in that list. If you're like me, it might make more sense to create a group called Disturb Me or Really Favorites or My Main Peeps, and then add that group to the Do Not Disturb settings. I assure you that I'm healing up fine, in spite of the rather gruesome photo I included in the blog post, and I'm sure Steve had me in his favorites and that he has an Apple Watch. What, that last sentence didn't make any sense.
Which one?
No, it's something I said there. I also found a typo. I found once instead of ones. All right, let me fix that last sentence. I read it just as it said, and that didn't make any sense. I assure you. All right. I assure you that I'm... Nope. Hush. I assure you that I'm healing up fine in spite of the rather gruesome photo I included in the blog post. And I sure am glad that Steve had me in his favorites and that he has an Apple Watch. There you go. Did you guys see the picture?
No, we can see it right now.
Yeah. See,
it's actually turned a nice color of yellow.
The other nice thing is I'm not actually wearing purple eyeshadow. That's actually a bruise under my eye. So that's nice.
It's the latest look, Allison.
Oh, I just look at it as a good day because I didn't break my hand, you know?
Well, it could have been much worse on the head, so
definitely could have.
Pretty lucky.
Let's see. I think there we go. I wrote once instead of ones. And the rest of that looks okay. All right. Close that one up. I use my iPhone on a neck lanyard as my life alert. Nice, Sybil. Might have gotten help faster from the pizza guy. Nice, Chris. Oh, Sandy ran into the sliding glass door. Glasses are still not happy. Ooh. You know, I actually do have to get my glasses fixed. I got lucky that I hit my shoulder first, my arm first, because that made my glasses fell off. My glasses and my hat flew off, so I didn't smash those into my head, but they are a bit bent up. So, all right. Oh, this is a fun one. Did you guys see? This is my wake this up. This is my new Chromebook. Can you see it, Steve? Does it look okay? I can't see whether it's showing up.
Boo, yes. Shh, boo, boo. It looks a little blue.
It's my Chromebook. It's a Mac. Oh my gosh, it's a Chromebook. It's amazing.
What year is that Mac?
It's a 2008.
Wow, they allow those? I guess a Chromebook is probably a good use for it.
Yeah, you know, it's not going to be able to run Sierra.
Right.
So, all right, let's do a preview here. There we go. Blasphemy. Well, what would you do? No, what would you do with a Mac that old, right? 8 years old? By the way, I was right, Steve. It is 8 years old. We were arguing about how old it was, and you said it was only 7 if it was a 2008.
Well, it kind of depends on when you got it in 2008, but I'll give it to you. We'll round up. The judges will round up.
We said it was a 2008 machine. Actually, we got it in June because it was Kyle's graduation present from high school. So
June what?
Okay, go on mute, dear. All right. Many people wonder if there's something they can do with old Macs and PCs when they become too slow for the latest operating system, or maybe have been abandoned by the OS vendors. A lot of Macs were, I guess, are not going to be supported anymore on, what are we going to call it? Mac OS Sierra. So maybe it's time to look at this again. With PCs, it's pretty common to put Linux on them, but older Mac hardware often has problems with Linux. Maybe a network card doesn't work, or the camera, something always seems to be a problem. If you do succeed, it's a bit of a learning curve to get proficient in Linux. So if you were thinking of giving this away, an old machine away with Linux on it to a friend who's maybe not real technical, then, you know, that might not be a good choice. But what if you could turn an old Mac or a PC into a Chromebook instead? Well, a company called Neverware has come out with a product called Cloud Ready that will do just that. Cloud Ready is free for individual and experimental use, and it's $25 a year for schools and $49 per year for work. They have a compatibility list of over 200 hardware models that they say are certified for each one, and they tell you what components will work with Cloud Ready. Well, I've been wanting to play with a Chromebook anyway, and I saw one that was like $150 over at Target that I was thinking about buying, but when I heard about Cloud Ready, I thought this would be fun. So I dug out my 2008 13-inch MacBook. That's a 4,1 if you're wondering. It has a 2.4 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 250 gig 5400 RPM drive it's been gathering dust on a shelf, so it seemed like it was a good candidate. This 8-year-old machine was running El Capitan, but it was painfully slow. I'm talking about like maybe 6 to 8 seconds to launch system preferences. I blame that hard drive. I could have put in an SSD, but I'm not actually using the machine, so this seemed like fun. I keep it around for emergency needs and experimentation, so why not see if I could make it into a Chromebook with Cloud Ready from Neverware.com. Well, they say on the website that Windows PCs can be made to dual boot to Cloud Ready, so you don't actually have to scrape the operating system off, but Macs have to be completely reformatted to run the new OS. However, there is a little loophole that allows you to experiment with Cloud Ready without blowing your Mac's OS away. I'll get into that later. The instructions on the Neverware site for installation are pretty good, but they definitely skip a few steps and there's a little bit more you need to know. The very first thing you do is you download a zip file from Neverware suited to your computer, so Windows versus Mac and 32-bit versus 64-bit. You open up Chrome and navigate to the Chrome Web Store at chrome.google.com/webstore. In there, you search for and install, and I'm using air quotes on that, the Chromebook Recovery Utility. This app will allow you to make a thumb drive installer for that future Chromebook. Now, it's weird to think of installing apps within the Chrome browser, but we might as well get used to it on the Mac because that's what we're going to be doing over on the Chromebook. After I installed the recovery utility, I noticed in my Chrome bookmarks bar, this is still on my Mac, that I had a little button that said Apps. I launched the Chromebook recovery utility from there and followed the instructions to create the recovery media using a local image. Now, this is the first place that the instructions fail. They tell you to point to the zip file, but after about 5 tries using various techniques to erase and reformat that thumb drive, and it was still failing, I thought maybe I should extract the zip file, even though they said to install the zip file. So when I extracted it, it turned into the original binary file, and finally I was able to create the installer on my thumb drive. By the way, you'll need at least a 4 gigabyte thumb drive, and it will wipe out everything on that drive. As soon as I was done installing onto the thumb drive, it disappeared from the Finder. It was no longer mounted, and that was kind of interesting. I stuck the thumb drive into the MacBook and restarted it just as the instructions said. And of course, it booted into OS X. Well, I should have known that. Little of the Googles to remind myself that if you hold down the Option key on boot up in OS X, you get to pick the boot up drive. I was rewarded with 3 disks. Macintosh hard disk, okay, we know it's not that one. Recovery 10.11, that's the recovery partition for OS X, so that's not it either. And then one called EFI boot. By process of elimination, I figured that it had to be EFI boot. EFI, by the way, is the firmware and the Intel chips that the Macs use. They could have used a slightly more intuitive name for the installer disk, I thought, but it's going to work. After I booted from that, I was rewarded with a black screen and the words, "Welcome to Grub." It's like, okay, yeah, whatever. But I just waited a little while, and that was quickly replaced with a pretty cloud-ready logo. The instructions say to skip the next page entirely. That shows you the option to set up a network, language, and keyboard. Unfortunately, there is no way to skip this page. You have to select a network. I chose select the network pull down, and it clearly saw many of my wireless radio signals, but it simply refused to accept my password on any of them. I plugged in Ethernet, and I was on my way. We'll get back to the networking thing later because that continues to be interesting. I had to accept an Adobe Flash EULA end user license agreement, and that kind of creeped me out. Technically, it did say I could skip it, but seemed like I probably should accept it if they're telling me I need it. Anyway, once I did that, I was invited to sign into my Chromebook. Now, do you remember any part in this story where I actually installed Cloud Ready to make this a real Chromebook? Well, you didn't miss it because it never happened. Remember I said there was a loophole that'll let you experiment with this without committing? Evidently, you can just use the thumb drive to live boot and then switch to your normal Mac OS later if you want to. Well, after I entered my Google credentials and did the 2-factor authentication dance, a very quick guided tour showed me where settings are, and I was able to launch apps, and I was on my way. I need a break.
So Joan joined us.
Joan, how are you today?
Her husband is a math professor at LSU. Been teaching math there for 43 years.
43 years. Wow.
Didn't Eric go to LSU?
Yeah, Louisiana State University.
Yeah.
Played football there and nearly failed out, and then became an engineer and a genius.
Yeah. Well, I think he was a genius all along.
Oh, right. It's probably not nearly flunking out that caused that.
He just, yeah.
I wonder if Ghibli knows that.
Attention. Oh.
He nearly failed out of college in his first 2 years, and then he decided maybe he should change what he was doing. All right. Let's see. And Chris is drinking a Mondavi Pinot Noir. Did I miss anything else?
Kevin's tripping all over the place, falling on top of Sandy. No. He's offering for Sandy to fall on top of him. Oh, this is not coming out right.
This is getting a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. Oh, Ghibli's did not know that. Yeah, he was a brilliant man, but he was in college football. All right. I think I'm ready to start up again. I needed water there. I went into the Google Chrome App Store inside my Chromebook, and I was able to add other apps like Google Hangouts. I was able to make audio and video calls from my new Chromebook. Now, remember the compatibility chart I told you about early on? It said that for the MacBook 4.1, the microphone would not work, But they were wrong. It did work. Both the mic and the iSight camera worked just fine. So I don't know how they keep those up to date. I'm going to write to them and let them know so that maybe they can update that. I then opened Google Drive, and it gave me some hints on how I could use dictation to move around in the documents, doing things like selecting words, making them italics, and moving to the end of the next paragraph. That's something I don't know I can do using Chrome on OS X. Might be there, but I wasn't able to find it on OS X. But I do know I can use Apple's dictation. But like I said, it works. Hello. Are you guys hearing that?
Whoa, I hear it on you. Do you hear it on me?
Nope. And I did not record anything in that little segment.
And you keep talking a little bit.
Hello?
I think your voice just cleared up.
Did it fix it?
Yeah. Something.
Okay. Well, none of that recording. Nope, there's nothing there. Right. Do not know why it moves my cursor. Yep, it didn't record a thing.
So maybe that was related to the breakup. The audio breakup.
But why would it? Very odd. I'm going to, let me do a quick recording here. Test 1, 2, 3. Nope. It's recording.
Is this Amadeus?
Yeah, I'm going to quit Audio Hijack and restart it. Okay. Be right back. Audio pause. No panicking. Good job,
Sandy always panics.
No, Sandy did not panic last time. All right. Goodbye, Steve.
Bye.
Okay, am I back?
Yes, you are.
All right, let's see if that works. I don't want those USB problems again. I was glad they stopped. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Yep, that worked that time. This is Allison. Screaming. Kevin's running screaming around the room. See, she's not panicking. Kevin, on the other hand, yes, I did, Steve. Twice, in fact. Can you hear me, Steve?
I can. Good job.
Good. All right. Let's see. And in the recording I did. So I did everything. Let's see, where was I? Let's see. I went into the Chrome OS App Store in the Chrome browser, and I was able to add the Google Hangouts app. From there, I was able to make audio and video calls from my shiny new Chromebook. Now, remember I mentioned a compatibility chart briefly? I mentioned it early on. Well, in that chart, it said that the MacBook 4,1, the one I'm using, it said the microphone would not work. But it turns out they were wrong. It worked great. Both the mic and the iSight camera worked just fine. I'm going to send them a note and tell them that it's working, because I figure that's probably a crowdsourcing kind of thing. It was a Google Doc. So now that I think about it, I wonder if I can even edit it. Anyway, I went over to Google Drive on the Chromebook, and it gave me some hints on how I could use dictation to move around in the documents, doing things like selecting words, making the italics, and moving to the next paragraph. It was pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. And I don't think you can do that in Chrome on OS X. It might be there. And by the way, I do know I can use Apple's dictation, but this was actually navigating around in the document. It was pretty cool. Around this time, I thought I'd take a look at the network settings again. I went to settings, internet connection, and it showed that I was connected to my wireless network. Remember, I'd put the password in a bunch of times and it wouldn't accept it? Well, it turned out it had connected after all. To prove it to myself, though, I unplugged the Ethernet cable, and sure enough, I was still connected. It's very weird, but I guess that's a problem solved. My screen brightness and volume controls worked perfectly, but I did find a few things to fix. First of all, two-fingered scroll worked on the trackpad, but it scrolled backwards. I went off to settings and I found how to change it to what they call Australian scroll. I can only imagine that's a play on the concept that Australia is on the underside of the world, so everything's upside down. I'd never heard it called that before. Maybe that's a common term, but I hadn't heard of it. The second problem was much trickier to solve. Typing was nearly unusable because the cursor was constantly jumping backwards many characters. I went on a hunt and I found that there's a shell command to change the time between typing on the keyboard and when the trackpad becomes active again. Well, that's cool, but how do I get into a terminal-like shell on a Chromebook? Turns out Control-Alt-T opens a shell called Crosh. It's Chrome shell. Anyway, it seems to have very limited commands though, but simply typing the word shell into it took me into a real bash shell where I could type the kinds of commands we learned in Taming the Terminal. Not everything is there, but some of it is. The command to change the trackpad timing is called syndaemon, Syndaemon. And the time is set with a -I flag and what appeared originally to be the number of seconds. The suggestion they had was 4, so I thought, well, maybe it's milliseconds, but it turned out when I set it to 4, it was an interminable length of time. So I would type and then try to use my trackpad and have to count to 4 before I could. So I kept dialing it down, and it turns out you can use sub 1 decimal points. So I set it to 0.5, and now I can type and pretty much instantly switch over to using the trackpad. I put the whole command into the show notes and the site with the explanation of all the little flags on it if you want to see what I did. By the way, syndaemon is in there and did work, but when I tried to find the man page on syndaemon, it said man wasn't found. So that's kind of interesting. I got to look back at the Taming the Terminal notes. Maybe there's a way you make man exist. I'm not exactly sure. I thought it just was supposed to come with it. Anyway, it occurred to me that at the beginning I said Linux wasn't user-friendly. Here I am having to modify Cloud Ready just to type. So I don't know. The good news is that so far that was the only seriously janky thing I had to do to get it working properly. I went to Excel Online and also Numbers, and they both worked really. I changed the order of this, and I edited out some of the stuff I said about Numbers. That shouldn't have been quite like that. Let's see. Anyway, it occurred to me. Right there. I went to. Steve, you should change your name to Dad.
There are several dads on here, I believe. Wouldn't that be ambiguous?
Maybe you guys should all change your names to Dad.
Dad 1, Dad 2. All right, let me try.
You change it to Dad SP Sheridan.
I'm just Dad.
That's good.
The devil made me do it.
Let's see. Here we go.
Kevin is Dad 666. He's playing off the word daemon.
That's nice. You're still SP Sheridan too.
No, that's on the iPhone.
Oh,
just
I see.
So I can monitor.
Dad. Oh, okay. Yeah. Strange birthmark looks like 3 6s.
Sandy refuses to be Dad. I don't blame her.
All right, this is good. So anytime anybody says Dad, it's going to ping Steve. That's good. 1985. Does your ice melt suspiciously fast in your cold drinks? That's the Kevin. Stop being entertaining, Sybil. I've got to work here. Let's see. I thought it would be fun to check out Excel Online and Numbers through iCloud.com, and they both worked really well, except for one thing. It was difficult to drag cells across. I had some problems when I tried to drag a tab off of Chrome too. So I'm not sure if it's a setting in Cloud Ready or Chromium or whatever this OS is, but it's a little bit of a pain. So I think it's a problem with the trackpad trying to press and then hold the drag. But like I said, Excel and Numbers worked great. I didn't look at any other apps there, of course. I was able to go look at photos in iCloud.com. Saw my photos, was able to delete a photo. I didn't do too much in there, but I was able to access my photos, so that was cool. Well, at this point, I had to decide whether I was going to continue to run off the thumb drive or really commit. So I first rebooted, and OS X was still there, so I did verify that there was no danger simply booting from that thumb drive on a fully functioning OS X machine that you do not want to destroy. I'm happy to say that it was fun enough already playing on the Chromebook that I took the plunge. In settings, there's an option to install Cloud Ready for real. It asked me if I was sure I wanted to write my drive. I said yes. It asked if I was double secret sure. I said yes. It said, I'm only going to ask you one more time, but are you really, really, really sure you want to wipe out everything you have on this disk? And I said yes. In about 20 minutes, the machine shut down as they said it would, and when I booted it up, I was into the Chrome OS for real. Interestingly, though, it had kept the information I had created when I was live booting. I still had the apps I'd installed. It still had my photo for my login. So I hadn't really wasted much time with the live boots at all. That was kind of unusual, at least the last time I did a live boot, like a Linux live boot. Any edits in that live boot got erased whenever I logged out and logged back in. I do also have to say that this 2008 MacBook running CloudReady's version of the Chrome OS is way faster than when it was running El Capitan. I should mention that during the real installation, again, the network connection did not work. I had to start with Ethernet and then toggle Wi-Fi off and back on again to get it to work. Well, now it was time to get serious. I installed Telegram, and after entering my phone number and the code sent to my phone, I was able to instantly start bothering Stephen Getz. That was awesome. Now, I should explain that everything is web-based on a Chromebook, but some things don't feel like they're web-based. I installed TweetDeck for Twitter, and it's just another tab in Chrome, but Telegram shows in my dock, system tray, shelf, whatever it's called at the bottom, as a separate app. I know in my head that it's a browser instance, but it still feels real. Hangouts is the same way. It feels like a separate app. Hey, Steve, it would be really good if you muted while I'm recording.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Whatever it's called at the bottom as a separate app. I know in my head that it's a browser instance, but it still feels real. Hangouts is the same way. It feels like a separate app. All right. It didn't come through on the recording, at least. Thought it would. All right. What were you laughing about? Now tell me. Now I want to know.
We were talking about when we celebrated our first Father's Day. And I outed Lindsay's age, and now she's not talking with me.
Oh, dear.
Actually, she's probably just gone away and done something else.
Are you at Dad?
I'm just Dad.
It says at Dad.
At Dad?
Yeah.
Where? What app are you in? What chat client are you using?
And answer. Kevin says plus Dad _666. You say at Dad. Oh, maybe moderators have ats.
What chat client are you using?
What do I use? Textual. Do I have an at in front of me?
Well, I'm not using Textual.
No. When you see when somebody talks, you see their name, right? You see Sandy. You see Dad 666.
Yes.
Is there a symbol to the left of it?
No. That's chat client specific.
Well, your chat client's lame. Mine tells you whether or not. Oh, Cal Mickey sees the at on mine. Are you using Textual, Chris? And Dad 666, so he's probably using a lame client like you are. Ours is better. All right.
Colloquy is a great client.
Okay, I need to hear in my head that it's a browser instance, but it still feels real. Hangouts is the same way. Okay. Colloquy for Dan. Okay. All right. I mentioned I had trouble dragging a tab off of the browser, but if you do succeed at doing that, it becomes a full screen app and gets moved from the icon for Chrome to an icon called Chromium. Again, this is down in, we'll call it the system tray just for sake of argument. So these don't feel like separate apps when you do that like Telegram, but it's still useful to have them pulled out separately. Makes them easier to find and access, sort of like a favorites list. Well, it was time to start trying to get to my regular stuff. Obviously, my Gmail accounts are right there in Chrome, but what other iCloud services could I get to? I was able to authenticate to iCloud, like I mentioned, but I got to tell you, I really, really miss 1Password. And but I was able to read my .Mac account email, and like I said, I was able to look at photos while I was in there and play around with numbers. And so, I was even able to share documents successfully from Numbers and from Office Online with Stephen Getz, who I was still bothering. The one thing that is still problematic for me, and I'm not sure if it's the trackpad on the laptop to blame, is that I am still not able to do that click and drag very well. So I wasn't able to figure that out, and it's kind of annoying if you're used to that. Well, if you've been wondering what all the fuss is about with these new Chromebooks and have been wanting to give them a try, I think creating a bootable thumb drive with the free Cloud Ready from Neverwhere.com is a great way to learn. If you've got an old machine lying around that you'd like to repurpose for yourself or maybe a friend or relative, I think this is a terrific option that doesn't cost you a dime. I'm planning on keeping playing with my Chrome OS, and it was super fun. I'm going to stop because I have one more bit of information.
That wasn't me. I made no noise.
Okay, shut up. I'm planning on... Actually, I'm going to go back a little bit. I reordered these paragraphs and I stopped making sense. I put the stuff about iCloud later. Oh, well. Well, if you've been wondering... I'm going to cut in here really quick. Okay, who told me to try? Hang on, I got to find out who... I tried the... there's a screen reader. Chrome box. It's called Bill Holton. That's who it is. Okay, here it goes. The Chrome operating system actually has a built-in screen reader that you can trigger. It's called ChromeVox, I think. And Bill Holton asked me if I would give it a try. I was able to kick it off and I was able to get it to do some stuff. It wasn't, well, none of these are super intuitive when you start. So I don't want to say it doesn't work well or it's not easy, but it is in there and they are making an effort. So that was pretty cool. So Bill Holton is really into checking this out. So he's used it on other Chromebooks and he wondered, would it work when you ran Neverware's Neverware's Cloud Ready version of the Chrome OS on a Mac? And it did work. Well, if you've been wondering what all the fuss is about with these new Chromebooks and have been wanting to give them a try, I think creating a bootable thumb drive with the free Cloud Ready from Neverware.com is a great way to learn. If you got an old machine lying around that you'd like to repurpose for yourself or maybe a friend or a relative, I think this is a terrific option that doesn't cost you a dime. I do plan on keeping this going with the Chrome OS, and it was a super fun afternoon to take an old MacBook and breathe new life into it. Man, I have that out of order. Dagnabbit, that didn't record.
Bear with it, Podfeet. You can push through.
I'm going to quit this again.
And you did a restart before all this, right? Oh, lost your audio. Sorry.
Oh, I could still hear you. That's weird.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I did do a restart. All right, let's try this again. I do not know what's going on. Are we recording now? Okay. So I need to look at the meter to make sure that that's going. All right. Let me make sure I got the name of the screen reader right. This is weird. You guys are continuing to be able to hear me, right?
Not when you restart the recording.
No, when I was recording.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We
Interesting.
weren't hearing the recording, but your live voice, yes.
Okay. ChromeVox, I think it's called. Okay. While I was originally playing around with this, Bill Holton asked me if I would check out the screen reader that's built into Chrome OS. I think it's called ChromeVox. And I did figure out how to get it to launch, and I got it to read me some menus and some text. I wasn't fluent in it by any means, but these are all pretty janky and weird to get used to and to learn. So I don't know whether it works well or poorly, but I was able to get it to go. So that was kind of cool that there was a built-in screen reader. So maybe it would be fun for you. I do have to say, if you've been wondering what all the fuss is about with these new Chromebooks and have been wanting to give them a try, I think creating a bootable thumb drive with the free Cloud Ready from Neverware.com is a great way to learn. If you've got an old machine lying around that you'd like to repurpose for yourself or maybe a friend or a relative, I think it's a terrific option that doesn't cost you a dime. I do plan on keeping playing with the Chrome OS, and it was a super fun afternoon to take an old MacBook and breathe new life into it. Okay, that recorded. I might save. What do you think?
Yep.
Were we supposed to pay attention? Yes. All right. Let's see. That's that one. So now we're going to close you and go back to this one. And now we're going to go to Ooh, this is cool. All right, let me show you guys this before we start. This is a cable, a lightning cable from Radtech, and it is super cool. Great idea, Allison. Oh, to do this. Yeah, it's really fun. You should do it, Sandy. Super fun. So this is actually, let me move a window here so I can see what you're seeing. So this is the Radtech lightning cable. This is a 10-foot cable, which is comically long, but they also make a little bitty one. Do I have the little bitty one here? Yeah. Oh, shoot. That was wrong. That was bad.
What did you just disconnect?
I just unplugged my SSD with my photos on it. That's going to make that happy. Anyway, this is their little 18-inch one, and then I've got the 10-foot one. What's cool about these is they've got a braided covering on them, and they're guaranteed for life. You can't break these things. You're going to hear me talk about everything about it, but they're really, really pretty. I think the gray and black is really cool looking too. So I know Bart always runs over his with his chair, and they're less expensive than the Apple cables. So how's that?
Yeah, most things are.
Well, but you wouldn't think a ruggedized cable that's got a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
Whose life? Yeah, there's that, right? Let's see. And preview. Here we go. Right, this time I'm going to check and make sure it's recording. All right. I've heard a lot of people talk about how they're always destroying their lightning cables by running over them with their chairs or getting them caught on something or bending them so the wires fray at the connector joint. The only solution seems to be to buy cheaper cables, but buy them in bulk because they're so easy to destroy. Cheap cables can get really expensive after a while, though, and you hate to be caught out with one that has failed when you really need it. If you're this rough on cables, you might want to take a look at the Radtech Pro Cable UHD. Radtech sent me 2 of these cables, and they really are industrial strength. The cables themselves have a really nice looking black and gray woven jacketing over them that makes them stiff but still flexible enough to bend. Radtech says that they're double shielded to protect against interference from RF noise. The strain relief at the connector joint is super stiff plastic, and I couldn't get a tight bend to form to even test where it would wear. The connectors are made of aluminum instead of plastic, and Radtech says that they're crush proof, within a given definition of crush proof, I assume. I didn't test running them over with a car, hitting them with a sledgehammer, but I did run over one of them repeatedly with the casters of my rolling chair on tile, even making sure to run over the connectors a few times, and I couldn't even find a mark on the connectors afterwards. And it charged and synced my iPhone to my Mac right after testing. Here's the real kicker. The Pro Cable UHD is warranted for life. Seriously, who does that? The Pro Cable UHD comes in a diminutive 45 centimeter or 18-inch length, or you can get the normal 1.8 meter 6-foot cable, or the almost comedically long 3-meter 10-foot cable. You won't need a 10-foot lightning cable every day, but I think about things like a passenger in the backseat of an SUV needing to charge their phone or wanting to play their music on the stereo. Or you could plug it in behind your couch and never have to worry about getting it torn in half by the recliner mechanism. Not that I've ever done that personally, of course. The Radtech Pro Cable isn't cheap, but it isn't expensive either. They range from $13 for the 18-inch one to $25 for the 10-foot one. But that's actually less expensive than the easily breakable Apple Lightning cables. And you only buy these once. Check out the Radtech Pro Cable UHD at radtech.com. All right. Why do I say Radtech twice in this? Man. It's got radtech.com at the beginning, and it's like I just put it in there twice.
I think when you introduce a product, you often will give the link, and then
yeah, but I did it twice at the end of the show. At the end of
both. Okay.
Yeah, and I saw a typo, but I don't remember what it was now, so I'm going to send that to blog. Save? Oh, there's a good idea. They aren't as careful as they should be. Yeah, if they lose them a lot, it might not be a great solution. But if they break them, then that's a good solution. Unfortunately, I didn't break the one I broke was my laptop charger cable. That made me really sad. All right.
I like Sybil's. Your chair rollers were thrashed by the connector.
Actually, I should check that. Yeah, they probably did get broken. All right. Let's see. Where am I? All right, we have time for one last thing today. I want to play you the last of the interviews that we did from PhotoCon LA. All righty, and let's add us a track. Has anybody here ever used Reaper? Reaper. It's a multi-track editor. Oh yeah, Kevin, you owed me a screenshot or something to explain how you're doing multi-track. Maybe I should, maybe when we're done, I should show you what I'm seeing and see why you can.
He's saying he has to go.
Oh, shoot. All right. Maybe next time. Let me check this connection here. .com. All right. We have time for. Okay. That's a little bit long. Yeah. All right. Move that over there. Got a little bit better. Here, and I think I usually have to bring these down some. I think you yell at me that they're too loud. Oops. Come on. Well, let me see how loud it is first. On LA. I just stopped by the Zoom booth because I wanted to tell a story about the Zoom H2 that I got many years ago.
Kind of loud. Yeah.
All right. How do I tag nab it? Come on. Where's the little green ball? Oh, come on. What, I can't hear you? Where's the, let's see. No, I don't have the little slider to change the, drag the little level thing up and down.
Did Amadeus do an update?
I don't know. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. It was on center, so I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, all right. Try that. LA. I just stopped by the Zoom booth because I wanted to tell a story about the Zoom H2 that I got many years ago, and Donald Burr showed me how to use it as a USB microphone. I made the silliest little video in my bathroom of how to do this, and it's one of my most viewed videos. So the Zoom products are fantastic. These are small recorders, and I'm here in the Zoom booth with Ross Hornbuckle to talk about what they have that's new since I've last been by.
Yeah, thanks. We've had a couple of new things. We've grown from the H2, same basic philosophy, still handheld portable recorders. Now we've got something like the H5, where you'll have a stereo mic included, but now.
So I was amazed at how inexpensive these recorders were. I forget how much they said. Do you remember, Steve?
I thought they were in the mid to high 200s.
Oh, is that what? Let's see. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. And how are things? Seriously.
No, not. So.
That's nuts. Okay, that must be where I heard the price.
$99.
Oh.
Something 99.
So with the H6 is $399, and again, you're getting the 2 additional inputs there. So
that's nuts.
The H6 was higher, I think. $100
this
higher.
Isn't for my audience, but that's amazing. Okay, almost to it.
H5, I think it was.
Both the XY and the mid side for $269.99.
Are you kidding? I just assumed I was going to say, and this isn't for my audience, but that's okay.
That was the H5, I think.
Yeah, but he didn't say the price yet, did he?
Yeah, he said $269.
We did.
Yeah.
Both the XY and the mid side for $269.99.
Are you kidding? I just assumed I was going to say, and this isn't for my audience, but that's amazing. That's with both of them.
Yes, and same. So with the H6 is $399, and again, you're getting the 2 additional.
These were really fancy things. I thought they were, super pro going to be,
Well, I think pros do use them. I think they're good enough to get pro audio recording.
Yeah.
At least portable. Oh,
you have the H2N, Dan? Cool. The big problem that wouldn't bother you, I guess, well, actually probably bother you a lot. The controls on it, the little screen was almost unreadable. So I don't know how you'd ever know how those things were set on those. That's interesting. You can use that, Dan. That's cool. All right. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. Follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. If you're looking for a place to post dumb questions, you can either go to our NosillaCast Google Plus community at podfeet.com/Google Plus or our Facebook group at podfeet.com/Facebook. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to, actually, I'm going to redo that. Ron, who is the guy? Let's see. A guy just posted a dumb question on Google Plus, and I want to bring it up and give him a shout out. Unfortunately, it was so easy I answered it. I might do a little thing on it anyway. Let's see, Google Plus. Ron McFarland. There he is. Better keep his name up there because it'll disappear on me out of my tiny little brain. All right. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You can do that by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. If you want to send in your dumb questions through social media, you can check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community at podfeet.com/Google Plus. And you can be like Ron McFarland and put your dumb question in there. Or you could do it in our Facebook group over at podfeet.com/Facebook. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, except for 4th of July weekend, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Vocal fry in place. All right.
And stay subscribed.
I thought about doing that just to make you laugh. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week.
Check us out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not. All right. All right. Save. Now, go here. 27-minute show. So I got an email this week from someone telling me that they want me to stop podcasting because they hate listening to me. What are you supposed to do?
You can't please them all.
Sound, wait, boost, move, track, shift track. There it is. What did I say it was? 27 minutes? We'll find out. A little bit far. Oh, not bad at all, actually. Right there. There you go. All right, let's hear how that sounds. July weekend, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Yeah, Sandy, their point was that I show up on other people's podcasts and it ruins it for them. And I wrote back and I said, I know what you're talking about. There's a couple of people drive me nuts and I'm really sad when they're on shows I like. So the good news is there's lots of choices. Hope you find stuff you like to listen to. What are you going to do, right? All right, track, sound, bounce document to new file. Wait, what? Steve's saying something to me. Oh my gosh. Wants me to fix my sleeve. Ready? There. Is that better, dear?
Much. It was bothering me.
How long has it been bothering you, sweetheart?
Oh, 45 minutes.
That's
so I showed restraint.
That's great. All right, save as. Oh, that's interesting. When it bounced the document to new file, it boosted that volume back up. So I don't think it does any good for me to do those little changes. Just for your little ears, I suppose. Save it out as an AIFF. Oh, I'm on you. I haven't. All right. I can quit this and I can go down here. All right. Well, I am about to do the mechanics of closing out the show. Happy Father's Day to everybody here. Hope you guys continue to have a good day. And to the ladies, lovely to see you as always. Did we outnumber the men this week? We had Giblies and Joan and Sandy, and it looks like Sybil snuck out. And it's probably pretty neck and neck there. All right, Steve, say goodbye, Gracie.
Goodbye, Gracie. Have a great week.
All right, hanging up on the live video. Bye.